especially if you're a first-time mom, all of the things that I was concerned about and questioning, the answers were all there. It took about a week for him to be sleep trained. The more you wait, the harder it will be. And the longer they get used to that routine, the harder it is to get them out of that routine. Of course, you see some regressions with the sleep training, and this is completely normal. Someone woke up from his nap. Don't feed them right before sleep. Apparently, feeding them before the nighttime routine helps them sleep longer. I would highly recommend doing that if you can. Hello and welcome back to my channel. This week we're going to talk about sleep training. Finally, we're here where we get to talk about sleep training with you guys. It has taken much longer the second time around than it did the first time around for us. And this video is to just go over all of the things we've learned, what we would have done differently, what we suggest you guys do to maybe, have a better experience overall. Without further ado, let's get started. If my voice is a little bit off, it's because I am still sick. I was actually at the ER yesterday, and that is part of the reason why I didn't film last week. But anyway, let's get started on some of my top tips on how to sleep train. Now, I know sleep training can be tough topic to talk about. Everyone's got their opinions. Some people believe in sleep training, some don't. I'm assuming you believe in sleep training and that's why you're watching this. If you don't, maybe this is not the video for you. There are so many types of sleep training. So my number one tip is to prepare yourself before starting your sleep training. Get as much knowledge and information as you can from a mentor that you trust and believe in. I highly recommend the Moms on Call book. That book, I believe the 0 to 6 months one, is so informational, especially if you're a first-time mom. All of the things that I was concerned about and questioning, the answers were all there. And it's the book is by two authors, and between the two of them, I think they have like 10 kids, and they sleep trained, I believe, all of them. One of them is a pediatrician of like so many years, and so they're very knowledgeable. I really trusted the advice that was given in that book. So if you're looking for a resource to get yourself started, I would start there. This is where I went when I sleep trained Kaden, my first, who is now 2.5 years old. So with Kaden, I first read the book, got comfortable with the things I was uncomfortable with. I think the number one thing I was uncomfortable with sleep training is the cry out method. I know it's the most effective, but then I was worried that if I just let him cry it out, one, will I be able to do that? Because as a mom, your heart just breaks. And two, are they hurting from, you not catering to them when they cry, and do they feel like you're not coming back, and all those things were things I was questioning about, and that book answered and put my mind at ease with all of those things. There is a certain time frame that they understand that they are loved and that you will come back, and there are reasons to let them cry it out that are beneficial for them. There's just a lot of things, and I'm not going to go into detail here because, again, it's a lot to unfold, but do buy the book if that is something that you want to learn more about. So I decided after reading all that I was going to do the cry out method with Kaden, but I was going to limit it. So I limited it for 10 to 15 minutes at a time. I did not, based on my capacity of, hearing him cry, I couldn't do more than 10, 15 minutes. So I put him down, and when he would cry for more than 15 minutes, I would then go in a room and console him and then come back out. And that is what I did with him. And it took about a week for him to be sleep trained. Okay. It was super fast. I believe the reason for that is because he was only I want to say like he was 4.5 months old, almost 5 months old. So he was still in the earliest stage. One thing that I recommend is not waiting until much later to sleep train them, because the more you wait, the harder it will be. The more you wait, the harder it will be. I know you are holding on, and I don't know, it's hard sometimes to start something new. But the harder you wait, the harder it is, because they are used to their routine. They're used to what they're used to. And the longer they get used to that routine, the harder it is to get them out of that routine. Keep that in mind, because that is something that, unfortunately, with our second, we had to wait longer. We started sleep training him at 6 months instead of 4.5, 5 months, which with Caden. And that made it much harder. And when I say much harder, I mean night and day harder. And the reason for that is a lot of things were outside of our control. Like, for example, he got RSV when he was 5 months. So we decided, okay, we're not sleep training him right now because he's sick. He needs us throughout the night. And then he had diarrhea, which he was having diarrhea throughout the night too. So whenever he did cry, it would not be okay for us to just let him cry it out, because there was a 90% chance that he had diarrhea, and we had to change him, and that's why he was crying. So there was just a lot of that going on. Since October, basically, this household has had some sort of colds, RSV, whatever. So it's just navigating that with the second child, because that isn't something I thought about, but I spoke about this on my 2 under 3 video, that is something I did not take into consideration, how hard it would be. It's just, when your first goes to preschool, they bring a lot of different things back home with them. And yeah, the younger child will get sick. And with your first, you probably didn't experience that because they weren't out as much and they weren't exposed as much, but that is just part of it. So that is why it took so long for us to sleep train him. So at 6-ish months, we started sleep training him. And it really has been about a month now that we've been trying this, because in between, again, he would get sick and it would be a back and forth. But we did not do entirely the cry out method with him because he was not feeling well for a lot of it. So we felt that it was just not okay to do. So in this time around, we would let him cry for, again, like maybe 10, 15 minutes, sometimes longer, like 30 minutes. And we would go in and put the pacifier in his mouth if he felt loud, let him know that it's okay, that we're here, we love you, it's time to sleep. And during that time, sometimes I check his diaper to make sure he didn't go, or, things like that, if he was like sick or not feeling well. But if your baby is not sick, and they're fed, their diapers changed, they're clean, they don't need anything, right? Then it's probably just that comfort. They want that routine that they used to have before. They're getting used to it. So understanding that allows you to kind of give them that chance to cry it out so that they can feel comfortable and understand what's going on and learn to self-soothe. It's very important during the sleep training to allow them to learn to self-soothe, because up until that point for so many months, you were soothing them. You were the one soothing them. So yes, it's going to take some time for them to get used to it. And if you waited as long as we did, up to 6 months or longer, it's going to be harder. It's not going to be overnight. Don't expect it to be overnight. And it's okay. I would say, even though it has taken us like a month to sleep train him due to all the different types of colds and things that he got, within a week, we saw a big difference in his sleep pattern. So before we sleep trained him, he was up, man, he was up, I want to say 5, 6 times a night, and he was just constantly needing us there. And it's okay. It's like, it's part of the journey. But it was a struggle for anyone to get sleep in this house because his room is literally attached to Caden's room. So when he's up, Caden eventually gets up, and then we're obviously not sleeping. So it was hard. But once we sleep trained him and he learned to self-soothe a little bit better, within a week, I want to say that had improved already so, so much. And then, of course, you see some regressions with the sleep training, and this is completely normal. If you see normally I want to say night 3 or 4, you see a big regression. Like they rebel against the sleep training. And this is something that actually is on Moms on Call, like the book Moms on Call. So you can read about that there and correct me if I'm wrong. But I remember reading this, and it was so on point with Caden too. Night 3, I believe. He rebelled. He was crying for like the longest time. But since I knew that was going to happen, I was a little bit more at ease. And same thing with my second. You will see a regression during that first week happen, and it's normally on night 3 or 4. And it's completely normal. So they're just, they're fighting it. They don't want that, but it is good for them. And the reason why I believe in sleep training personally, not judging anyone that doesn't, just the reason why I believe in it is because when they start sleeping the night, they are able to their digestive system is able to function better because they're not constantly drinking the bottle all night long. Can you imagine if you were just drinking all night instead of relaxing and letting your body just get rid of the toxins and, do what it's supposed to do and truly rest? I mean, it makes a big difference for them. It helps with their development. It helps with their growth. And overall, it helps everybody. I mean, if you're also sleeping as a mom throughout the night, you are able to be a better mom because you're rested. And I mean, there is no price you can put on rest, okay? Speaking from someone that has not had rest for almost, I mean, I don't want to say 6 months because I even made a video for you guys. Um, giving you tips on how to have your baby sleep through the night, because up until he was 3 months old, I was able to do that with him. But then when he had the 4 month sleep regression, things went downhill with the sleep regression. Then the 5 months RSV, that went downhill, the diarrhea, and then 6 months sleep regression. And that is when I started sleep training him so we could get back to what we had before the 4 months. And so that is why. But I think also in the book, it talks about how it's easier to sleep train them when they're on a sleep regression, which I think is funny because a lot of parents think, I'm not going to sleep train them right now because they're on a sleep regression, so that's not going to work. No, that's actually the perfect time to sleep train because they're already not sleeping well and crying a lot. So you might as well like train them while that's happening since you're not getting sleep anyway. And, make the best of it. So that's why we decided to do that at the 6-month sleep regression. And that worked really well for us too. Someone woke up from his nap. Say hi, baby. This is the baby we're talking about, right? We currently have a cold again. Surprise, surprise. But anyway, another tip that I wanted to give you guys is before sleep training, and this is an obvious one, you probably already know this, but definitely make sure you transition them to their own room, because sleep training, a lot of it has to do with just having that room to themselves where there's no outside noise. They have their routine there. They know like that's where they're gonna sleep. It's all dark. There's no light coming in. You got the white noise machine and everything is good to go. Once they transition to their own room, I don't know what happens, but it makes such a big difference. You will automatically see such improvements in sleep. I don't know if anyone would even sleep train in their same room. I mean, maybe if you don't have a choice, I understand. And I'm sure you make that work. I can see how that can be a lot more difficult though. So I would highly recommend doing that if you can. Another tip that I recently learned that I wasn't doing is obviously the bedtime routine is really, really important. I have been doing the bedtime routine since the beginning, since he was born. But the number one thing, Dak, no going there. No going there. You have your window. But the number one thing that is really important and that I wasn't doing before is giving them the bottle before you start the bedtime routine. So before you give them a bath and read them a book and all those things, you feed them the bottle. And then you give them a bath and you read them a book and you put them down. Don't feed them right before sleep. Apparently, feeding them before the nighttime routine helps them sleep longer. And I can attest to that because once I started doing this, it's been night and day. So I don't know what it is about it. I'm going to link the website I got this from. It's babysleep.com, something like that. But that really saved me. Like that little change in his bedtime routine has been so helpful. So I highly recommend you guys do that too. And again, the try out method is not for everyone. You can make it whatever you want it to be. If you want to go in when they cry and console them, you can do that. I mean, I feel like every baby needs something different too. So you know your baby better than anyone, and you can sleep train according to what is best for your family. Obviously, this is the fastest method. And like I said, it did take longer for us because we're all sick all the time here right now. But, you know, if everyone's healthy, then go for it as early as possible because that does make a big difference. Anyway, that will conclude today's video because honestly, I'm running out of time. If I miss anything, I'll leave it in the description below. So be sure to check it out. Everything that I feel like is important, like the Moms on Call book or anything else that I may have mentioned, I'll link it below too for you guys. And if you have any questions or any tips that you found really helpful during your sleep training journey, don't forget to let the other moms know in the comments as well. Thank you again so much for being here. You guys, we reached over 500 subscribers. Oh my gosh, I can't thank you enough for your love and support. And again, if you know a mom that needs to hear this today and get some tips on sleep training and you found this helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, share with a mom friend, and I will see you next time.